Welcome back to Chat Like a Native. So, if you're listening to this, you get the rules of English. You understand it. But, understanding and fluency are two totally different things,
Mhm.
miles apart.
You're here because you want to get past that really slow, frustrating translation step and just start thinking in English, that immediate connection. And that really is the biggest takeaway for you. Getting to that point without the guilt, without the pain of, normal studying.
And two things really stood out. First, fluency is not about being a genius or having a massive vocabulary. It's just about speed. How fast can you get to the words you already know?
Right.
And second, the way you build that speed is by creating what we're calling a hobby zone. It's a space where English just becomes the default for something you already love doing.
And the best part is, it all boils down to this really simple, memorable idea, iOS.
Yeah, iOS.
It's just three things you do over and over. High-quality input, so watching or reading stuff you genuinely like, tiny, low-pressure output, and then saving the phrases that actually matter into your own personal phrase bank. Exactly.
So today, that's what we're focused on, how to build this direct road so you can turn the things you already do for fun into some seriously powerful language practice.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's talk about this core problem. I think almost everyone listening has felt this. You have an idea, your brain thinks it in your native language, then you start to translate it, you worry about the grammar, and by then...
Overlap.
Yeah.
The moment's gone. The conversation has moved on without you.
Exactly. Why is that translation trap so hard to break out of?
It all comes down to how much brain power it takes and how fast you can find the words. The material we looked at calls translation the slow bridge.
The slow bridge. I like that.
Yeah, think about it like this. Imagine every time you wanted a cookie, you had to walk over this long, rickety bridge to a different town,
Well,
buy the flour, walk all the way back, bake it from scratch, and then finally eat it.
by that point, I don't even want the cookie anymore.
You're exhausted. That's what your brain is doing in real time with translation.
So it's not the idea that's the problem. It's the detour. It's the unnecessary work.
Precisely. We're not trying to learn a bunch of new facts here. We're just trying to build a direct road.
Right.
If your native language is the toll booth you have to stop at every single time, we're building a highway that just bypasses it.
And you do that with simple English.
Simple English, repeated in a context that actually means something to you. That's what teaches your brain to link the idea directly to the English word.
Mm.
And this is so important. You do not need to be an advanced speaker to start this. You just need to be consistent.
Okay, so that idea of consistent, meaningful context, that leads us right to the solution, right? The hobby zone.
Yes.
This has to feel different from homework. It can't feel like school.
It has to feel like life.
Uh-huh.
A hobby zone is just a part of your day where English is the default. It's totally guilt-free because the reason you're doing it isn't to pass a test. The reward is the hobby itself.
So you're not studying, you're just doing.
Exactly. You're swapping the effort of studying for the fun of doing. And suddenly, English isn't a subject anymore. It's just a tool you're using for something you enjoy.
That sounds fantastic, but where do you start? I know a lot of people try to, use English everywhere at once and then they just get overwhelmed.
Oh, that's the classic mistake.
Yeah.
The scattershot approach is the enemy here.
Yeah.
So, step one is simple. Choose one hobby.
Just one.
Just one. You have to focus your energy. Pick the one thing you do all the time or the one thing that makes you completely lose track of time. Gaming, cooking, working out, crafts, whatever it is. That one thing becomes your English home.
Okay.
And if you can do that hobby at least 3 times a week, your brain gets that high-frequency repetition it needs to build those direct roads really, really fast.
But wait, that means I have to choose English when I'm tired, or I'm stressed, or I just want to relax. And if English is the harder choice, I know I'm just going to switch back to my own language.
And that's 100% true. Which is why step 2, upgrade the environment, is non-negotiable. You have to rig the game. Make English the easiest possible option.
How do you do that?
You remove all the little friction points. Change the language settings on your hobby apps to English. Go follow a few English-speaking hobby pages on social media. And this is a big one. Subscribe to just 2 English YouTube channels about your hobby.
Only 2?
Only 2 to start. And save their videos in a dedicated playlist. Call it My Hobby English or something.
Ah, I see. So when you sit down to do your hobby, you don't have to go looking for English stuff. It's just right there, served up for you.
It's the path of least resistance. Even just making sure the English keyboard is active on your phone removes one tiny little barrier. You're building this fortress of context around one single activity.
Okay, so the environment is set. Now we have to actually get the brain to use this new direct road. We're not starting with perfect sentences, so how do you even flip that switch in your head?
This is the training phase. Step 3. Start thinking in single words, then build up. We are literally creating new connections.
Okay.
Level 1 is the absolute simplest thing you can do, labels. When you're in your hobby, just name what you see. That's it. If you're cooking, you think
Onion.
onion, oil, slice, stir.
Right. Or if you're gaming. Map, shield, reload.
Exactly. Fitness, set, reps, stretch. Now, I know it can feel a little bit childish.
It does a bit, yeah.
But it is incredibly powerful brain training. Your brain remembers things with context. A word you learn from a list is abstract. A word you learn while you're actually feeling the heat from a pan or the burn in your muscles, that's concrete. It's tied to your senses, so you can grab it instantly.
Because it's connected to a physical thing, not another word in your native language.
Correct. And once those labels start flowing, you just move up to level 2.
Yeah.
Simple sentences. Just add little thoughts in your head. Keep them super simple so you stay fast. This is too salty. I can do one more rep. That was a good move.
So speed over complexity.
Always. At this stage, simple is fast and fast is fluency.
Now, thinking is great, but it's silent. Our speaking muscles need a workout, too. So if there's nobody around, how do you practice producing the language without the pressure of a real conversation?
That brings us to step 4, which is kind of a secret weapon. Live narration.
Live narration.
It's basically a quiet running commentary of your own actions. You just describe what you're doing as you're doing it, either in your head or, muttered quietly out loud.
Okay, so give me an example. If I'm cooking.
You'd just be thinking, okay, now I'm chopping the tomatoes. Let me turn the heat down. I need to focus on my breathing. Because it's tied to your hobby, it forces your brain to find and use English in a real context right now. It never feels like homework because you're just talking yourself through a task.
That real-time connection, that's what makes it stick. Okay, that naturally leads us to the Alti and iOS, right? Save. If we're not just making random vocabulary lists, what should we be saving?
Step 5 is all about building a tiny phrase bank. The focus here is on ready phrases. These are useful chunks of language that you hear and will need to use again and again in your hobby.
So not just single words, but whole phrases.
Right. We want functional, natural phrases, not words you might use once a year.
And how do we collect them? Is it just a list?
Just a simple note on your phone, call it Hobby English, and every time you hear a useful phrase in a video or read it online, you save it. But here's the important part. Save it with a short example that means something to you so you remember the context.
Okay, let's get specific. What kind of phrases are we talking about?
For cooking, it might be things like, add a pinch of salt, preheat the oven. For gaming, cover me. I'm out of ammo, let's push together. For fitness, keep your back straight. I need a rest day.
I see. They're high frequency, ready to go commands and thoughts.
Exactly. And the magic isn't in the saving, it's in reviewing them. Seeing those functional chunks over and over is what makes them automatic.
Which brings us to the big one. Most people are great at input, at consuming, but they're terrified of output, of speaking or writing. Step 6 must be about flipping that switch, but gently.
This is the tiny output strategy. You have to remember, consumption is just recognition. Output is creation. Your brain has to practice forming English from your ideas.
But that's the scary part. So what's the absolute lowest pressure way to start?
It's so much simpler than people think. Just write a short, simple comment on a YouTube video you just watched. Something like, good tip on the sauce.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or send one message in a hobby group like, anyone else try this recipe? You can even record a 20-second voice note for yourself just describing what you did.
Or a simple photo caption like, today's game session was rough, but the map looks awesome.
Perfect. That one small action forces your brain to go from passive to active. It builds that retrieval muscle you need for fluency without any of the high-stakes pressure.
And once you're comfortable with that, you can level up with step 7. Use social hobby spaces.
This is where it really gets powerful, because the language becomes social and it becomes real time. When you're interacting, you have to be quick, or you miss the chance.
So places like Discord servers or Reddit or forums.
Exactly. And you can start slow. Just read for a while. Then start reacting with really short replies. Nice. Or good tip.
And then the next step would be asking a simple question.
Yes. Because that single question forces you to think and respond, and you get a real reward for it. An answer, just something like, what does this setting do? Or how long should I cook this for? That real interaction is the best teacher there is.
Okay, we have the method, but consistency is everything. I know if a plan feels too big, I'll just give up after a few days. So we need a rhythm, a schedule that people can actually stick to.
And that's step 8. Create that rhythm. We have to stress, a repeatable rhythm is so much better than a perfect plan you can't maintain. We suggest a simple weekly structure, 3 hobby sessions a week, maybe 20 to 40 minutes each.
Okay, 3 focused sessions.
And in that time, you focus on your English input, you do your live narration, and you follow it up immediately with one piece of tiny output.
That sounds doable, but what about the other days? How do you keep the momentum going?
With a daily micro habit, just 2 minutes a day. That's all. It's either 2 minutes reviewing your phrase bank, or it's sending one short English comment while you're scrolling online.
I like that.
And then once a week, just a quick recap. Write 5 simple sentences about what you did in your hobby that week. It's light, it's consistent, and it keeps you connected.
But let's be real, we're gonna fail. We're gonna get tired and switch back to our first language. We're gonna feel guilty about it. Step 9 has to be about that mental game, the no guilt rule.
Guilt is the ultimate progress killer. It's so important to remember that switching back is completely normal. The problem isn't the slip-up. It's the story you tell yourself afterwards, the one that says you failed and you should just quit.
So what's the rule?
The rule is simple. If you break the zone, you just restart at the next session. That's it. No punishment, no beating yourself up.
So it's about returning, not about being perfect. That takes a lot of the pressure off.
It's all about repetition, not performance. You just get back on the bike.
Okay, finally, let's do a quick fire round. Common problems. What if someone tries the labels, but they still find themselves translating the word in their head first?
Lean into it harder.
Mm.
Attach the English word more aggressively to the physical action. When you stir the soup, the thought has to be stir at the exact same moment. The action must trigger the English word directly.
What if they feel too shy to do even that tiny output, like posting a comment?
Then start private.
Mm-hmm.
Do more live narration in your head. Record voice notes just for yourself. Or, if you go public, make it a super simple positive comment that needs no reply, like nice one. Or love this.
And what if they get bored? They get sick of their 2 YouTube channels.
Then switch the content, not the hobby. Find new creators. Try a different format, like a podcast or a blog, but within that same hobby. Variety is what fuels the enjoyment, and enjoyment is the whole engine of this method.
So for you listening right now, here's the challenge. Just choose that one hobby today and set one small rule for the next 7 days. I do this hobby in English. You don't need a textbook. You just need a new habit.
And start small. Use single words. Then add simple sentences. Narrate what you're doing. Save the phrases you actually need, and then respond in those tiny, low-pressure ways. The goal is to stop trying to study so hard.
You're just trying to build a life where English shows up naturally, without the effort, without that fear of failure. You're turning something you already love into automatic language speed.
And if that can work for your hobby, for your gaming or cooking, think about this for a second. Enjoyment is what makes English feel like a part of your life. So what other little daily rituals, your commute, making a shopping list, organizing your desk, could you also turn into a new, tiny, guilt-free English zone? That's how you really make the language your own, one context at a time.